All right, welcome back to Raff's Brain, a show about things that are interesting to me. This is your host, Rob Raffety, and I'm very delighted to have a little time with an old friend, and time flies. But man, I've known this guy for, I think, over 10 years now. A gentleman by the name of Alex Anton, who I met way back in, I want to say, you probably know the year better than I do. Is it 2014, 2012?
2015.
2015. We're coming up on 10 years. Gosh, man, time is, it just gets away from us, does it not?
Yes.
So, Alex and I met as he was applying for an internship role in a previous organization. And I remember very distinctly, this is a long time ago, right? So it's pre-COVID, but we were, ahead of our times. We did virtual interviews. You were in Iowa maybe at the time, or Chicago. You were in the Midwest. Do you remember this?
Yes.
And I was in a group interview setting. It was in a room with, you were on the screen, a big screen, and we had a probably half hour, 45-minute conversation. It was a group setting, but you were virtually calling in, and three of us were in person. Me, and another guy named James, and someone else was in the room too. I think it was 3 or 4 of us maybe. And then you did a nice job. It was fine. You presented yourself well. Do you remember this at all?
Yes. I was actually very scared because I was calling in virtually and something happened with the connection. And this would have been my first big boy job after graduating undergrad. And the connection failed. And all of a sudden everything went off. And I thought, oh my God, I'm not going to get this job.
Yeah. When you're young and like these opportunities come, looking back, you're like, you can laugh about it. But the 22-year-old mindset, you get all pumped up. I think you definitely dressed up for this. Even though you weren't there in person, you had a tie. Like, you looked really professional. I was like, oh, this guy, poor, he's super eager. And, it was a good interview. I don't remember anything specific about the interview, but I hate to say this. This is where my first confession, Alex. And I don't know, maybe I was in a bad mood, maybe I had something I didn't like for lunch or something. Anyway, there wasn't anything about you, but I think everyone else was like, hey, let's just hire this guy. And I was like, he seems pretty good. I don't know, whatever. I wasn't, what a terrible, I'm sorry. This just is a reminder how difficult it is to assess talent. Like, you didn't impress me. What type of attitude did I have? Like, these guys, what are you going to do? Impress me? Like, I was in a bad mindset at that point. It wasn't you. I think it was probably something else on my mind. I was going through issues, whatever. But I'm sure that's happened to other people. But we did hire you for that job. You worked for me. And I was like, okay, let's hire this guy. Give him a chance. And you crushed it. And then you dominated for many years at that organization. And I always take away a lesson from that. Like, even if I have interview experiences with people where I'm not like, blown away. But conversely, I've also had interview experiences where I think people are the most impressive in the world, and then they work, and then they're not a good employee. Mm-hmm. So it demonstrates to me how little you can assess somebody, and the futility of the hiring process, which is, anyway, that's my takeaway from it. So that's where we met.
Yes.
And I've come to know a lot about you. And the show's not just about me talking, I promise. I'm just trying to get the tee up, because you're going to get to talk a lot here in a second. And I'm going to quiz you hard. So there are many things we could explore with Alex, but he's graciously agreed to talk about one part of his life that I only came to discover, I probably knew about halfway into our friendship, that you liked a certain artist. And I was like, huh. But then I started to follow you on social media, or we talked at other places, and I was like, this guy's really, really into this particular rap artist, man. So I want to get some deeper dive on this. The rapper goes by the handle Eminem. I'm sure you've heard of them folks out there in the listening audience, the tens of listeners of this show. It's a vast reach. Is his name Marshall Mathers or something like
Marshall
that? Marshall Mathers, 8 Mile. That's how I know him back in the day. Dr. Dre, like those are the, I don't know much about this guy. But you are in this Eminem army or whatever it is. So I want to talk about this. When was the first time, we're going to explore in this next 10, 15 minutes, like this passion, where it came from, how it's manifested, how it's changed your life, how much money you think you've spent or invested in this thing over your life. We all have little nuances like that. So I want to learn more about you today, Alex. So do you remember where you were when you first heard about Eminem?
I do. So I was 12 years old, and I was friends with this.
What year is that, by the way?
Oh my gosh. That was...
Is it late 90s?
So
early 2000s?
92, so 2004,
okay.
I think. So that was the first time that I heard of him, and I listened to him, and I hated it. And
really?
I actually didn't like rap at all. I was really used to the kind of alternative 90s music from my parents, Third Eye Blind. I am a Nickelback. Yes, exactly. I've seen them in concert like twice. And Nickelback fan as well, which everybody craps on. But I remember it was one of the new Xboxes came out. I had a sleepover with my friend Nick Heckenbach. So funny, I still remember his name.
Shout out, Nick.
Oh, he actually became my bully like a year later, and we stopped being friends.
Never mind. Not a shout out to Nick. I don't think he'll listen to this. But who knows?
No, yeah. But I remember him showing me, and for some reason we put one of his albums, the disc, in the Xbox, and I think we listened to it in the background playing Call of Duty or something. And I really didn't like it. And I can't remember when.
Did you like rap music at all?
Not really.
No.
Not really.
Okay.
More of the pop, hip hop.
Okay.
And then, because I was in 6th grade, and I think maybe a little bit under a year, but definitely middle school, I started getting into it. And
that's interesting, because there must have been a point where you pivoted, or you suddenly thought, hey, this isn't as bad as I thought. Was there any moment that you kind of piqued your curiosity? I have a parallel story I'll tell you in a minute, because this is very interesting, but keep going with this. Keep going.
Yes. Yeah, so I think the album that Nick had shown me was the one, I think, right before Encore, which was, oh man, this is
you're a true fan,
this
brother.
I know this is not great. I can see the album cover in my head.
It's okay,
but
we'll forgive you.
Yes, whichever one was before Encore. It's got My Dad's Gone Crazy, which is a great song.
What's the one where he's writing a letter to somebody?
Stan.
Yes,
that was on.
Earlier
oh my
album
gosh,
or
that
later?
was an earlier album.
Okay.
So when Encore came out, that was the album cover where it's blue and he's in a suit and tie. And then I remember when I got that album, you could take out the inserts.
Yeah.
And you can look. They had the art. They had the lyrics in there.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
The liner notes, dude. Back in the day, for all the kids out there that listen to this show, that just downloads one-off songs on Apple Music or whatever. That's not how it used to be, man. Albums were a work of art. There was a sequencing of the tracks that really mattered, like which song you heard before the next one. And you could listen, and sometimes to this day you hear a song and you almost want it to continue because you know what the next one is on the album.
Yes.
So that's old school. I like to hear that. So we're talking still mid-2000s, late 2000s. Maybe.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then, wow, I'm getting old. The timeline on this, I really started getting into reading the lyrics, and you can hear something that sounds good. And what really attracted me is I was a really great writer. I still try to write now. But at the time, I really started getting into writing. I had a poem published around 7th grade.
I didn't even know that.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know this.
It's
dude.
pretty cool. So I had
What was the topic of that? What was that about? You don't have to share.
I can almost say the whole thing. It was fairly short, but it was called Beyond, and it was beyond the river, beyond the stream, and a few more lines there. So I had that published, which was really cool, and I started really getting into writing, really getting into poetry and wordplay, and all of a sudden, I had said I hated it when I first heard Eminem rapping, and all of a sudden, I would look in, I would research, I would pull up the lyrics, look at the historical references that he made to prior albums, and it was just kind of a rabbit hole from there.
Wow, man, that's fascinating. My analogy, which is not quite perfect, but when I was in middle school, Guns N' Roses started hitting really heavy in 1987, 88, 89. And initially I was rejecting that because I wanted to be against whatever was popular for some reason. And I liked classical music. I was a weirdo. I was not even as weird as you were, man. I mean, you weren't as weird as I was. Sorry, that's what I meant. Other way around. And then one day I was riding with my sister in her car, and she popped the tape in, and I didn't know what it was. And it was the opening song of Appetite for Destruction, My Michelle, A-side of the tape. And it's a really cool riff and an interesting song. And I was like, yeah, this rocks. Wow, I didn't. And then she's like, well, this is Guns N' Roses. I was like, what? All I knew was, Sweet Child of Mine, and I was like, that's kind of, too poppy.
Guitar Hero.
Yeah. So, anyway, and then I got into them, and now I'm adoring, and I started to, consume the heck out of them. So it sounds like you had a similar experience. Didn't like it initially, reintroduced, started to get in, then you get on the rabbit hole. We're living in different times, though. You have the internet rabbit hole that you can go down, so you can kind of go through all the associations. So let's just ask, and this might be a little awkward. Do you have a favorite song? Do you have a favorite album? Do you have a favorite part of his product, his library that really hits at you?
Yes. So this is a really interesting question because when people usually say what's your favorite song by X, it's kind of depends on kind of what we're talking about, right? Because you have the wordplay, the best song where he's the best with lyricism and all that kind of stuff. But I think in general, my favorite would have to be Till I Collapse, which is very an emotional song. This was actually a song that Michael Phelps said on an interview that he would swim to, which I didn't even know. I guess he was using waterproof headphones or something, which I didn't even know that was a thing. But he opened up, and I think he was talking to, who knows who it was, Barbara Walters or whoever it was, right. But he was talking to somebody and said that is his favorite go-to song.
Is it a pump-up? I've not heard it.
Yeah.
I don't think I have.
Yeah, it's very inspiring, and the whole premise of the song is, till I collapse. So you give everything that you have until you literally physically give up because you can't go anymore. And this became my favorite song because in middle school I was going through kind of a rough time. I got bullied, but I was also a bully. And that's something that Eminem has in common with me. And that's a theme throughout a lot of his albums, is how he was bullied. And then he would get back at the bullies or bully other people because of that. And so I was in a really bad depression. And one day I heard this in the car, and it just came on the radio. And this wasn't one of his top hits necessarily, so it was odd that it came on the radio at the time. I was in a really bad place, and I just heard that song come on the radio, and the timing was impeccable. And I just remember hearing the intro to that song. I really recommend everybody check out. It's kind of the opening where it's a lot of speaking, and it's really, really motivational. And I heard that, really listened to the words, and I didn't give up. And I pushed through, and till this day, that's still something that I hold very dearly. And a lot of people will make jokes about Eminem and, he bashes women, this and that. A lot of it's his character, Slim Shady, who he just killed off in his latest album.
Wow.
But yeah, that's
cool, man. Thanks for sharing that. I'll drop a link to that song in the liner notes, and I'll listen to it myself. Maybe I'll even do a live reaction, a recording of my reaction to the song, because I haven't heard it. As far as I know, unless it got a lot of airplay, I probably didn't hear it. I know more like, I'm Slim Shady, that's the one that reminds me of you, because you kind of look like him. If you wear jeans and a white shirt and the blonde hair. There was an MTV appearance that he was on the VM Video Music Awards. Yep. He was singing that song, and all these kids roll out. They all look like him. He's like, please stand up.
Yep, so, iconic.
Very iconic. So, anyway, I'll definitely give that a listen. Maybe I'll do a live reaction and stop it and pause it. And I like that, or that interesting. Yeah, that'll be a fun little riff off this interview. You did mention, so he killed off Slim Shady. Again, I'm not super connected to it, and that's good to know. He's evolved. He's grown. We're all changing. I will say one thing that coincidentally somehow came on my social media screen and radar was a funny, and actually just talk about getting old and time flying by. Apparently, he has a daughter. Have you seen this video?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you're aware of it. So, folks, I'll drop a link in the liner notes as well. She surprised him. Maybe, Alex, you can tell me about what happened here. I thought it was kind of very fascinating.
Yeah, so I might not be able to do it very, very specifically. I actually didn't see the video.
You've only heard about it.
I read some articles and stuff, but
She was how she broke the news of her pregnancy to him.
Yeah, he's going to be a grandpa.
So she gave him a Detroit Lions jersey. On the back it says Grandpa.
Oh, yes.
And then she handed him the picture of her sonogram. Now, I don't know who the father is or any of that stuff. I'm sure she's
a very lucky guy.
Yeah,
Imagine Eminem being your
father-in-law. That could be fascinating. You missed out, dude. You missed your opportunity.
I know.
One more thing. We want to wrap it up. No, not keep people here too long, but I have your attention. I presume you've seen him in concert at some point.
Yes, only once.
Wow.
And I'm kind of upset about that. I grew up and lived in Chicago for a long time, and there's a famous music festival, Lollapalooza.
Oh, yeah.
He was there a couple times, and I missed him each time, and I was really, really upset. But fast forward to 2000, it was either 2018 or 19 in the fall.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah. Me and my brother, Luke, we went to Firefly Festival, which is in Dover, Delaware, and they do it at one of the big racetracks, which was really cool. And it was the best lineup ever. Lil Wayne was also there. There were so many people there. And but seeing Eminem, it was amazing.
Did he play that song you like a lot or not?
No.
It's probably not one that always, it's a little too up. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how he decides what playlist to go on.
Yeah.
But would you say, like, you know most of his songs and lyrics almost by memory? If you hear the song, you can go along with it? Are you ever, like, karaoke to it or anything?
That's actually hilarious that you brought up karaoke. So I would say, in general, yes. But I'm the kind of person who doesn't have a great memory for very specific things. A lot of his older songs, I know 70 to 80% of all of his older songs' lyrics. But karaoke specifically, I think this was a couple years after I moved to DC, so maybe 2017 or so. Me and my friends went out into, I think, Adams Morgan in DC.
Oh, there's some great karaoke rooms
there. It was so much fun. And this
like
karaoke,
a room where it's just a small group of people that can rent the room, right?
Yeah, I've been in those, but this one
was a big one?
This one was the natural bar.
Oh my gosh,
setting.
Wow.
So
it's like, lots of people.
Oh yeah. So you can just sign up, you can do whatever song. So I did, what did I do? I did Lose Yourself, which is, it's a great song, but it's very mainstream.
Got one shot.
Yeah.
You got one shot.
That's one opportunity to
that's
seize
from 8 Mile.
everything you ever. Yes.
8
Mile, great movie.
Yeah.
So I signed up for that because I didn't want to do a better song because it just didn't fit in with the mainstream style. It is a great song.
For karaoke, there's a whole way you got to calculate which songs to pick.
Yes.
If you pick a nuanced song that no one in the crowd knows, it's going to not hit as hard.
It's like, get out of here. What are you doing?
Yeah. So you're doing a song that everyone knows, and at least, even if they don't know the lyrics, they know of the song and they can, enjoy it more.
Yeah.
You care about your audience. You're playing for the crowd.
Yes.
I like it.
Yes. And usually I get really nervous in front of people. And so I had quite a few drinks in order to do karaoke, which is really fun.
That makes it challenging to rap, probably, too.
Well, not for me. That's one of the ones where I know about 98% of all the words.
Okay.
And bless you. Rob had some sneezes.
I knew it was going to happen. I was telling him before we hit record, like, I'm going to sneeze, man. Anyway, we're just going to push through that.
Yeah. So I go through, I sing it. Everybody's feeling good. I have about 4 friends with me. The bar is packed. And then somebody comes up to me and nudges my shoulder and says, oh, hey, I'm next. The song is concluded. And this wasn't the person working the karaoke or at the bar. So I thought, oh, this guy knows that he's next up. I gave him the microphone. He takes it out of my hand very aggressively, and he starts yelling, Eminem hates women. He hates gay people. like, let's kick this guy out, boo. And he just starts yelling into the microphone. And I was just blown away.
How did the crowd react in that moment?
It was really hard to gauge. There were a lot of people in the bar. It seemed like there were some people giving him some weird looks.
That's a very unorthodox. I never had that type of experience. That seems really strange to me. Hopefully, what happened?
I really don't remember. I think we left shortly after that, but it was bizarre.
That's awkward.
And this really builds on some of my early fears, getting more established in the working world in DC. If you say that you have a favorite artist, people immediately have preconceived notions and all of that. So I remember when Rob was my boss at first, I was trying to keep my work and private life very separate. And I remember when I let slip at a lunch with some trusted colleagues that Eminem was my favorite artist, I did feel a little nervous that people would know, because this karaoke incident just kind of plays into that. Like, oh, hey, if you like this artist and he's said these words in a song, you must agree with it, or you don't understand that it's a character. And that's another reason Slim Shady versus Eminem, they're different characters. Sure. And that's kind of one of the reasons why he killed him off in his latest album. Yeah,
interesting. We'll follow up on this. Like, how do we distinguish the artist from the art? And that's a long conversation. And yeah, I'm sorry to hear that you had to experience that. I certainly am not someone who would judge others by the songs or the movies or entertainment that they watch, one way or the other. But it's interesting. We're in a different time, and that becomes more common, it seems, than it has historically. So I don't want to end on a sour note here. Maybe we'll try to go one last upbeat. Like, what do you think's next? What are you most excited about as you think about the future of your relationship with Eminem? Like, what's next? Are you going to go to? Are you excited to see him again at some point? Do you think he has potential to really transform? Maybe he's going to do something else with his career. I don't know actually where he's going. He's probably in his 50s now. Maybe.
Yeah. Yep.
What would you say would excite you if you saw Eminem doing? Maybe one more. I'm not a terrible interviewer. So part of this is Raff's Brain podcast. It's just me making things up. But this is Riffin with Raff, so we're riffing here. If you saw him, if you actually had a chance to meet this guy and converse with him just for a little bit, but let's say like one question, what's something you really would like to know about Eminem, Marshall Mathers?
Wow. That's a deep really good question.
You don't have to think too hard about it, just like a gut instinct. I say he just walks up here in the corner and he says, "Hey guys, what's happening? I heard you're..." Hey man.
Yeah.
We'd be starstruck, let's be honest.
I'm really not starstruck with anybody except for him. I'd probably freak out.
Get a little selfie.
Yeah. That would probably be my first question. Can I get a picture with you?
Right.
No, but wow, that is a really interesting question.
You don't have to ask him a question. Maybe would you say anything to him? Like, hey, I want you to know something.
Yeah, I would say you really helped me keep on keeping on in my life. And I really understand a lot of what you went through. A lot of his life and the way he grew up reminded me of my life, but it was very exaggerated. So I would probably say thank you. You're an inspiration. You kind of saved my life in a way when I was in a dark place. And, no matter what's in store for the future, I don't think you're ever too old to rap. So we want another record, even if it might not be, something that sounds like from the early 2000s. And I'm excited that you're a grandpa. And I can't wait to see what's in store for the future.
That's awesome. What a great way to end this show. Riffin with Raff, Rob Raffety, Alex Anton. We're going to get together again in the future. We'll revisit this at some point, but thank you so much for sitting down with me as this podcast gets rolling. You're, I think, my fourth maybe interview at this point, so we're still learning as we go. Thanks to all listeners out there. Appreciate your time and support. Check the show notes for links to the songs and related content that we referenced in the conversation today. Thanks for tuning in. If you liked it, share it with a friend. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.